Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Serge again. Welcome to another episode of Search for the Truth. And today I'm really excited to have my good friend Rachel with us again. So welcome back.
It's always great to be here and be a good company with you here, Serge. How are things where you are?
Oh, things are good in Texas. I'm in Houston. Things are good. Things are open. Business is back to normal. You know what I mean? Things are good. What about you guys in Canada?
That's a whole other topic, that's for sure. But here we are. We're going to stay positive. We're going to figure out how to navigate through this stuff, look good, feel good, become more self-reliant. We're going to tick all the boxes in today's episode. I'm excited to get into it.
Exciting. So I always like to ask my guests, why, the why, right? One of the reasons why I got into the nutrition field is because I had Lyme disease, and now I'm passionate to help people with Lyme because those people don't get a lot of help. But you are passionate about the skin. So why the skin?
Well, it's only the largest organ of our body. And what goes in comes out. Your skin is really a direct reflection of what's going on inside. So if you're eating the wrong foods, you're going to be in an inflamed state. Your skin is going to display more hyperpigmentation, uneven skin tone. Your acne scars are going to stick around for longer. You're going to experience accelerated aging. So none of the body systems and organ systems really are separate. They all are very intricately interconnected. So that's why I'm super passionate about this stuff. Because when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you look good. It's all connected.
You're right. I'm always fascinated when someone like you say it's the biggest organ of the body. We never think about the skin. We always think about, the liver, the gut, the heart, and so on. But you're right. The skin is the biggest organ, and it is really important in the detoxification pathways as well.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of when people write me off when, oh, she talks about skin. She must be superficial. It's like, ooh, actually,
Oh,
there's this whole other layer of beauty and skin and magnetism and radiance that is actually super deep and even slightly esoteric. So if you want to be beautiful and radiant in your most vibrant version, you got to have your body, mind, spirit, energy practices dialed and it's not just what you put on your face. It's what goes in your eyes, it's what goes in your ears, it's what goes in your mouth and in your heart, and what that send and receive cycle is like with people, places, things, and things around you. And people will be able to. People are going to be like, "What are you drinking? I want some of that. Why do you look a certain way or present a certain way?" And it's really cool, actually. This whole journey of beauty and radiance. It's a lot less superficial than people realize.
you have a good point. I mean, the skin is the first thing we see in people, right? You see the face, you see the eyes. So it speaks volumes to me when I look at a new client. I can tell from the skin, what's going on. So the skin will speak to us.
Absolutely. If you care to listen to it, right? The skin it tells you things actually kind of after the fact. So when we're doing like specific biohacking tests or looking at our metrics, we really can get a snapshot of what's going on now. But then a month later or so, that's when your skin is going to start to display what's going on. So we're actually at a really cool time. I mean, you're a professionally trained researcher. I'm an academic article writer. I mean, you got way more articles in the bag than I do, but we're always learning how we can optimize things. And it's actually something really fun and positive to focus on.
That's a good point. And you focus on the skin. So what are the main conditions that people look for when they talk to you or when they reach out to you?
Yeah, I would say hyperpigmentation. So photo aging, whether that's going to manifest as like age spots or sunspots, red acne scarring, large pores, sagging of facial features. So loss of definition to the jawline, hooded upper lower eye bags, large lower eye bags, hair loss, the quality of hair, skin, nails. These are questions that clients are asking me all the time, and they're also, I'd say, probably the biggest question is, well, what is a good routine for my skin type and my skin needs? So I love helping clients kind of navigate through all the BS out there, because trust me, the whole aesthetics industry, more and more clinics, I'm hearing about this every day, even in my local community, they're all getting bought out by these big conglomerates. So unfortunately, the model of rejuvenation and aesthetic medicine and aesthetic nursing is becoming very commercialized, and it's a commodity. So I like to help my clients and audience kind of like just cut through the noise and really get to the basics for skin health.
So what are the basics for skin health? Because when I read about it, I'm not really a pro on it. I'm not really an expert, but it's a bit confusing to me. There's different types of skins, or you can have a more acidic skin, more alkaline, different products. I mean, it's really, to me, too much. So can you help down to break it down, make it simple?
Yeah, actually, I've come up with this really great, sophisticated skin cheat sheet where I cover like the 5 key basics for healthy skin. So, what you want to just start with right now, whatever products you have, is start to cleanse your face morning and night. We actually want to make sure we're getting off dirt, oil, debris, dead skin, pollution, particles in the air,
Yeah.
mold, all this stuff that could sit on the skin and actually create oxidative stress, right? And oxidative stress is then going to lead to things like inflammation. So starting with good, clean skin is kind of like numero uno, step one. But using the right cleanser that's going to be appropriate for your skin needs. I see a lot of people actually going wrong with going with, like, say, for example, oil-based cleansers and oil-based moisturizers. Common thread that I see, and I've been doing this work for over 10 and a half years, is people are usually using the wrong products that are actually full of toxins as well. So I like to kind of like clean things up in real time, give feedback to what clients are using. If there's anything, when I'm doing a skin product check with them, what they're using, I'm looking for things like parabens, phthalates, sulfates, artificial dyes, fragrances. What's the company practices? Are these products actually going to give results? So even something like a cleanser, you do want to make sure you're using a specific formulation and something that's actually going to not, disrupt the skin mantle, but will still be able to take off your makeup and your mineral sunscreen. And then when it's a good cleanser, you don't even have to tone the skin afterwards. Then you got to feed it. Your moisturizer is like your multivitamin for the skin. And then you got to protect it with some mineral sunscreen, not chemical filters, but still get that, 15 minutes of unadulterated sun on your face and in your eyes first thing. And exfoliating, right? Polishing the skin, getting off the stratum corneum, which is kind of up close. It's like the cornflake layer on the skin. And when that gets all stacked up and bogged up, your moisturizers aren't actually going to be able to penetrate as well because you're going to have all this dead skin in the way. So exfoliating is really, really key. And then sometimes maybe doing like a weekly exfoliating and hydrating mask. I have a really pretty amazing amino acid peel that you can use. It's super clean, no weird toxins, glass bottles, all sorts of stuff. So just at least start with those basics, and then you can go a little bit more advanced from there.
So thank you for that. What do you think of, in my field in nutrition, we've been talking a lot about vitamin A. So what about those added vitamin A's, to those products? Is that something we need to look for? What kind of vitamin A? Is that a concern for the skin?
Yeah, there are different forms of retinol, vitamin
Yeah.
A, retinaldehyde, things like that. Retinoic acid, there's many different types of vitamin A. So I actually work with one that's compatible with dermal rolling. So dermal rolling is an age-old practice since the 90s. In fact, one of the OG researchers of dermal rolling actually lives in the city where I live. So that's where I
Oh,
get my
wow.
straight from the horse's mouth, essentially. But this is like a decades-old practice to promote collagen in the skin, help to reduce hyperpigmentation, and allow your products to not only sink in topically, be absorbed topically, but also transdermally, about 100 to 1,000 times deeper. But we're the wise, most dermal rollers that you're going to find online are full of actually heavy metals and alloys. And up close, the needles might actually be blades instead of needles. And you'll see a lot of like disposable ones on the market that are good for 10, 20 use, and then you chuck them. Think about the waste that's creating. So we want to be really intentional with our skin and our routine for men, women, to make sure that we're cleansing, moisturizing, sun protecting, but then sometimes talking to it with retinol, with dermal rolling. However, not everyone's skin reacts in a way that we might want it to or expect it to actives. So there is a bit of a process to get your skin used to being exposed to actives. Because if you just go like straight away, start using retinol every night for 5 nights in a row, you're probably going to experience something called a retinoid reaction phase. This is characterized by redness, dryness, and flakiness. And if you don't have the right products on hand, like your basic cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, scrub, to mitigate all of that, you're going to end up, oh, okay, this thing made me reactive. I'm never going to use it again. And it's going to end up in the back of the drawer. So there is a method to the madness to employing and integrating retinol into the routine, and ways to kind of kick it up a couple notches with a dermal rolling routine too. It's pretty cool.
This is fascinating, really interesting. So you talk about vitamin A, and you mentioned the sun, vitamin D. So can you debunk that? To me, it's one of the biggest myths when it comes to nutrition and skin health is the sun causes cancer. So what's the truth, and what actually is the cause of skin cancer?
Well, I mean, let's also have a very honest conversation. And I know that your show is all about seeking the truth. We actually know that electromagnetic radiation, hello EMFs, actually impact the skin and the eyes. There is clinical data to support this. You can actually find these readily available research articles on PubMed. Most of this literature is coming from the UK and Europe. They're a little bit more up to date with a lot of health-focused stuff over the pond. But all of these different things are going to be interacting with our tissues and things like that. So getting in the sun, I love getting sun exposure. I'm in more of the northern hemisphere here in Canada. So I'll supplement, maybe not being able to get direct sunlight into my eyes every morning for my circadian rhythm, or sunset also for circadian rhythm. So I'll sometimes supplement it with red light therapy. But I'd say one of the biggest issues to our skin right now in regards to light is our devices, LEDs on our phones.
Mm-hmm.
Blue light reaches about 3 times deeper into the tissues than what we get outside from the sun, which is UVA on the super sunny days and UVB on the really sunny days that are going to make you burn, and then UVA on the cloudy days. Those are more of the aging rays that it's going to contribute to more of the cumulative damage. But a little bit of sun exposure every single day is, just what we ordered for you.
That's a good point there. So people ask me when it comes to skin cancer, the sun, sun blockers. We know the skin is the biggest organ. It does absorb a lot of chemicals through the skin, right? So sun blockers are potentially toxic. So what would you recommend for sun blockers?
Yeah, so the word sunblock is actually a misnomer. There's no such thing as a sunblock, right? There's sunscreens. Sorry, my hair is... So I've got a lot of hair. My hair and skin, nails grows like weeds, actually. It's awesome. So sunblock actually isn't really an accurate term. I would say sunscreen. So I work with mineral-only sunscreens that are also talc-free.
Yeah.
And even have added antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E, and can do kind of a couple things. So instead of having to wear a primer for your makeup, you just use one tinted sunscreen. It kind of covers your bases in that regards. But sunscreen every day is a really easy step to take to help prevent skin cancers, because skin cancers are very real. According to ophthalmology journals, 10% of skin cancers occur in the eye area here, the periocular region. My skin type is a little bit more susceptible to skin cancers than, say, other skin types that tan readily, but all skin types can have a degree of propensity and susceptibility to skin cancers. So the better your body is at mitigating inflammation, so taking your antioxidants, eating a low histamine, low inflammatory diet, living a lifestyle that's low inflammatory to suit your genes and your epigenetics, is really kind of step one. And laying the groundwork to allow your body to just be functioning as this beautiful piece of machinery. But using things like sunscreen daily is important. okay, for the skin cancer prevention side of things. And just so you know, this isn't medical advice, educational information only. If you have like a lesion on your body that is, say, larger than the end of a pencil eraser, or it's changed shape, or it's kind of like got pearly or irregular colors, you should get it looked at right away. The earlier you can identify changes with moles and lesions on your body, the sooner you can just get it removed, biopsy, things like that. But prevention is always going to be key, and sunscreen is a part of that. But you just have to use the right sunscreens, and so that's where we come in to make sure that you're not using any of those chemical filters, because they're totally toxic.
I mean, there's, like you said, quite a bit of studies connecting skin cancer with the sunscreens or those chemicals, actually. You know, when I was researching my book on cancer and health, which should be coming out beginning of next year, but anyway, so I was looking at cancer and studying cancer, researching cancer, and I looked at the Japanese, and I found some statistics in Japan. And most skin melanoma, you know, which is a type of skin cancer, was found on the feet, which is an area that is not exposed to the sun. So the sun is not necessarily the major driver of cancer. Like you said, your lifestyle, your diet, your stress level, and so on are part of it. But sun, to me, is not necessarily the biggest factor or player causing. So we shouldn't be afraid of the sun. It's natural.
Absolutely. It's the most unadulterated light source that we have. If we didn't
Yeah.
have the sun, we wouldn't be here. So we have to have a bit of a healthy respect for the sun. But I gotta say, actually, traditionally I'd go outside and I would literally burn in about 10 or 15 minutes. But over the last 2 years, personally, I've been getting more intentional full body sun exposure, as much full body as possible. And I'm actually burning less, and I'm able to be outside for longer because my body is just like this amazing, beautiful, well-oiled piece of machinery. And I'm taking the right skin-based supplements to support and actually function as an internal sunscreen, which is pretty cool.
It is really fascinating. And you're right. When I was a kid, I used to burn so easily, like all the time. But as I changed my diet and addressed different things in my body, you don't burn really much anymore. You tan more than burn. So it's really fascinating.
Yeah, and one thing that you mentioned about like skin cancers on the toes, I believe that's how Bob Marley passed away. I
I
think
didn't know
he
that.
had, yeah. And so all these ladies that are getting their nails done and they're putting their fingers under these LED lights and UV lamps, for sure, there's some things happening in the skin. So I actually don't recommend for women to even get their nails done using those lights because of the potential interaction on the nail beds. So when you're wearing flip-flops and things like that, you're getting a lot of exposure on your toes and on your feet. So just be aware of how much cumulative damage different areas of your body are actually getting. Like when you're driving, when you're walking around, just kind of chilling out, you might not even be thinking about it. So I'm really intentional when I go in the sun. I'm getting as much full body as I can for a certain period of time. And then when I'm out and about, I'll wear like a higher collar shirt. I'll wear more like long sleeve shirt, things like that.
Good point. You have to do your best, especially when you are. So if you cannot get the sun exposure that you need to get, like in the winter time, I know in Canada, the sun is not really strong in that time. So what do you do? Do you use supplements?
Oh my gosh, do I supplement? Come on, what do you think?
I know you
Yeah.
do.
Oh, heck yeah. I'm really intentional with the supplements that I take. So when it comes, let's just give some tips here. I've identified that there are some really key supplements to take for healthy hair, skin, nails, and just like aging in general. And that's going to be having a solid antioxidant, omega supplement, and collagen. Okay. And then, of course, eating a diet that's specific for your specific constitution and epigenetics and really what your body wants at that time. But when we feel ourselves from the inside out, good things happen. We get rewarded. And that reward is we look better, we're aging better, and we're feeling better, and we're thinking clearer.
So skin is directly connected to anti-aging, right? And I know collagen has been promoted as one of those anti-aging, things you need to do. There's a lot of products out there. So what do you recommend? So is there any way to support naturally the collagen production by our bodies, or do you have to take like collagen powder or collagen pills?
Yeah, so there are different types of collagen. So beef collagen, poultry collagen, and marine collagen are the three most popular forms of collagen. Now, what you need to know is what are the farming practices of those animals that you're then consuming. So I like to work with companies that are non-GMO, and they also do third-party independent lab testing. So when you work with a really solid company, so we got UK and Europe over here for cleanliness of products, then we got Canada, then we got US way the heck down here.
Yeah.
So when you're seeing advertisements on your social media for this golden encapsulated skin supplement, you have to be really careful that, there's a lot of gimmicks out there, buyer beware. If you're listening to us here, you are definitely on the right track for being a little bit more conscientious, if you will, and discerning. We have to use our wise discernment for absolutely everything that we're exposed to these days, not only for our skin health, but just our overall wellness and vitality in general. But collagen really is a key element to support, but you also have to have great cofactors to allow your body to absorb the collagen. So if your gut's not happy and you have leaky gut and all sorts of things, and then you're taking these beautiful supplements, your body just, instead of absorbing those supplements, maybe needs to work super hard at mitigating inflammation. So start with, good food, good diet, all that, and then start to incorporate some skin specific supplements. Third-party independent lab testing is really, really key. And I like to work with companies that have been formulating for anywhere from about 10 to 30 years. And it's like everyone and their dog is doing white labeling, supplementing now, right? They're selling these supplements that they bought a formula from a chemist, they slap their label on it. So you have to be really careful about that. And, I'm not into that. So.
No, you're right. You have to be really, really careful, especially here in the States. I don't know in Canada, but here there's so much junk out there, and people don't realize that they take something that can potentially harm the body. Um, so one comment that I've seen that I get more and more and more these days is sensitive skin. I had this patient who came to me yesterday, and she even the touch of her shirts or skirts or jeans was affecting her skin. So why people have that sensitive skin? What's the real factor behind that, and what to do to help with that?
It's really interesting. So those of us with sensitivities usually have more than one sensitivity.
Yes.
Right. So I think a lot of this actually comes down to the toxic bucket analogy. If you are living a really toxic lifestyle, you're eating garbage junk food, you're eating fast food, which for some reason is like totally kosher to be consuming now, and it is in fact promoted. If you're eating bad food, you're looking and listening and consuming, not so good things around you. You're living in a toxic home with mold and things like that. You're using toxic personal care products. You're really adding to your toxic bucket. Now, what happens when that toxic bucket is really full, and then you throw women's hormones and menopause into the mix, and it's kind of a recipe for this to tip over. And then you're going to see accelerated aging. You're going to see things like maybe a histamine response on the skin, which honestly, diffuse redness and irritation, I see far too often being kind of like mislabeled, if you will, as things like rosacea. But it's not magic. It's just science that when you start to just stabilize your skin and look after it the way that the organ really is wanting you to look after it, is telling you that it needs to be looked after a little bit in a more specific, intentional way. Cleanse, moisturize, sunscreen, exfoliate, eat a really healthy lifestyle. You will notice within usually about a week or two that sensitivity start to go down. And then you can layer different things into the mix, like dermal rolling, retinols, lasers, things like that, to then tell your skin actually thicken up a little bit, right? Then you got to mitigate the inflammation and the sensitivity first with the right products and the right protocols, and reduce your toxic exposure, and then you can start to enhance your skin.
So skin sensitivity actually is the symptoms of your body dealing with toxin overload.
Yeah, so pay attention to that, because your body just it's trying to tell you something,
Yeah.
right? So It's not rocket science. You just have to pay attention and get really in tune and intuitive with your body. And the skin is one of the first aspects of your body that will be talking to you.
You're right. You have to be really in tune and focus on how you feel when you eat or do something. I know from my side of being a practitioner, skin conditions sometimes is one of the hardest conditions to treat, like a rosacea or psoriasis or eczema. Sometimes it can be really, really stubborn. And what I have realized over the years is when I put those people on a carnivore diet, I cannot tell you within a few weeks, those rashes, psoriasis, all those conditions disappeared. So I know there's a lot of science behind that. So what is your take on those anti-nutrients that we may be eating from a diet that can actually contribute to skin rashes or skin problems or just health issues in general?
Well, we also need to pay attention to the quality of meat. So where I live, I actually eat a lot of elk. I eat a lot
Oh,
of wild boar. I do not
wow.
eat commercial chicken. I do not eat commercial pork. I love beef and I love steak. So for me and my constitution, veganism isn't really the best for me. And in fact, I'd say with vegans for the most part, and it's going to get a little bit heated here for sure. Uh, Everyone's constitution is different. So for certain people, maybe following a vegan diet actually might work for them, but it doesn't work for me. My body wants more of that red meat, especially for women, because we menstruate, we literally bleed out. We need to make sure that we're getting all the iron and B vitamins that we need, but we don't want to be adding toxic burden to
Yeah.
our body by consuming meat that hasn't been ethically cared for and that is also full of toxins like hormones, antibiotics, toxins that may be from fertilizer next door in the plot of land that's using glycophosphates and stuff like that. And then the animals are drinking them.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to consume more kind of like wild game meat, if you will. And it's funny, since I started really dialing in my meat quality, it's interesting, you mentioned this. I've actually noticed a stabilization of my hormones. And the way I see this is I don't have any PMS symptoms. Traditionally be like, oh, wow, getting super emotional that time of the month. Okay, I know what's going on. I feel it. But I also notice more satiation throughout the day. So as we know with our ghrelin and leptin levels, ghrelin makes you hungry like gremlin. Leptin makes you feel satiated. When I'm eating better quality meat, I eat less of it and I'm more satiated throughout the day. It's really, I was actually just talking about it with my hubby today. He's a pro athlete. So we're like super dialed in with all this stuff. He's on my case to exercise and all this stuff. I have more energy and I just I feel better. I feel like a freaking superwoman most of the time.
You're so right. I see that every day when you improve the quality of what you eat, not necessarily meat, but it can be vegetables, fruit, organic, good quality. It's night and day for a lot of people. And people don't realize that they used to eat toxic meat and toxic foods.
Yeah, and really moving away from chicken. So we have Upgrade Labs here where I live. I love Dave Asprey's work and all that stuff. So he's got a biohacking place where I live, and I frequent there quite a bit. And I brought my girlfriend there to have a nice meal together. And she's like, "Oh, I really kind of want a bowl with chicken." And I'm like, "There's no chicken on the menu because chicken's not great for you. It's high in omega-6, right?"
Yeah. Mhm.
So there are certain elements to meat that aren't necessarily the best for us. So eggs are going to be a little bit better than maybe eating the chickens, but also what are the chickens eating while they're laying the eggs will also contribute to the quality of
Exactly.
omegas that are present or not present. So the stuff actually goes really deep and can actually require some reprogramming.
I mean, it's funny that you talk about chicken because I've been talking about chicken for years, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Chicken is the way to go. You shouldn't have red meat, the saturated fat, and chicken is leaner. It's better for you. But when you look at statistics of how much chicken people have been eating over the decades in America, I mean, there's so many connections and concerns with chicken. Like you said, the way they are raised, the way they are fed. So I don't eat chicken. It's been a long time actually. I'm
My
really
stomach actually hurts when I have chicken. It's like I have this like heaviness, and I just don't like it anymore. Now that I have the taste for the wild game meat
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
knowing how freaking awesome I feel, just knowing that this animal actually led a really good life up to the time where it died in the woods.
yeah.
And it's not industrial meat. So I know a lot of people do have access to game meat. So I recommend maybe supporting like your local butcher, even just ring up your local butcher and say, hey, can I purchase like half a cow or like a quarter of an elk, or make your own pates with, instead of chicken liver, try, I'm actually going to be doing some elk liver pate and kind of
Oh,
seeing how I like the
yeah,
flavor.
that's exciting. Actually, liver is one of the more nutritious organs and food on the planet.
Do
That's
you know what's
exciting.
crazy though? I
Yeah.
was having a family conversation and my husband's grandma chimed in and she said, "Oh, organ meat's bad for you." It's like, "Oh, red meat's bad for you." Says who? The Canada Food Guide, which has been wrong on multiple occasions. So we have to really check ourselves. It's like, okay, do we think something's bad because someone told us that it's bad?
No.
Or has there been more evolution in the information around that and research? You have to do your research, but doing a specific food testing is really key. So that's how I actually started to really learn that chicken wasn't great for me, because I actually showed up on some of my food tests to avoid.
I see. Yeah. I feel that's a good idea to do some food sensitivity testing to make sure you don't eat something. And over the years, I've seen people having all kind of reactions to food that doesn't make sense, right? People are having reactions to kale, or bananas, or apples. Again, to me, it's a symptom that maybe there's something going on inside the body, inside the gut. And there's a way to help the body to help healing these issues.
Yeah, so it's like we can't be so reliant on external forces telling us
Yeah,
how we should be living our lives. Like, read between the
yeah,
lines here. I love the name of your show. We have to be in tune and intuitive with what our body, mind, spirit wants, right?
yeah.
What really kind of gets us lit up and makes us feel good. Notice how you feel after you eat or after you use different products. What's your elimination process like? How do you feel the next couple of days after that? Are you clear headed, or are you feeling kind of like lazy and flat and kind of like dull? Like, your skin's going to reflect that as well. When your skin, when your body, it's like egg beaters. When your body's ability to detoxify, and when you have really good food on board to fuel your body, you got lots of antioxidants like your vitamin C, E, A, superoxide dismutase, all sorts of cool things. Your body's egg beaters and defense
Yeah.
mechanisms are going to be really well adjusted to when a stressor comes in or a toxin comes in. It's just going to be like, nope, no room for that. And it's just going to, those antioxidants are going to bind to the free radicals and just flush them out. It's not going to be a problem. So you'll
Yeah.
start to notice the more resilient your skin and your body is, also the more resilient that your mind will become as well.
I like the skin gut connection here. This is really true, though. And one
Yeah.
thing I learned over the years is to really pay attention to your body. The body will tell us what's going on, and most people don't even know how to learn those signals. I think that's the first step for a lot of people. So, as a final word, what would you tell somebody who's dealing with skin problem or someone who just want to look and feel better?
Yeah, save your time. Don't just like look at Google and YouTube. I mean, good luck trying to figure out and learn all the stuff I've learned over the last almost 11 years of doing this, over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures, research I've read, what I see working skincare wise, laser wise, at home peel wise, skin optimization supplements. Just ask me, right? You can just reach out and I'm happy to give you some specific customized guidance as to what your specific skin goals are and needs are. And it's just really fun connecting with like-minded individuals. But you tuning in here, you have the two of us here having a conversation. We're here to help, work with us in the way that we're available and all of that. But yeah, it really is about becoming as self-reliant and resilient as possible, but knowing how to upgrade yourself. So, for example, I went from an old school analog Jeep. I do a lot of 4x4ing on the island where I live. I'm super outdoorsy. And then I recently upgraded to a Land Rover. Now it's got better traction control. It can chew through the trails. I'm not as likely to get stuck. And it's always kind of sensing when, oh, we need to put a little bit more traction to this tire so you don't slide out and things like that. So we are at a point in humanity where we need to make those upgrades. And the technology and the information is available. We just actually have to be in the driver's seat of it, if you will. And then you're just going to notice everything else in your life is also going to transform, and you're going to be better able to be well adjusted when things are changing and evolving around you as well. So it's kind of a deep topic, but I think that car analogy, making sure that you are staying on the right track is really what you and I are here doing. It's a lot of fun.
We're trying to educate people. It's all about knowledge and power.
It is.
So how can people reach out to you? You have websites, emails, Facebook, Instagram, so on?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've been on the Rachel Varga podcast a couple of times. We've had some great conversations. I look forward to having you on again. So the Rachel Varga podcast is where I really share like some really deep stuff. A lot of what I want to share, you can't really share on social for obvious reasons. So podcast is great. Get on my newsletter at RachelVarga.ca. And when you register, you'll get my 5 steps to sophisticated skin. So you can start to optimize what you're already doing, and we can connect that way. Yes, I'm on social at Rachel Varga Official. You can hang out with me there too. I'm pretty active in stories. And I would just love to connect with like-minded individuals that want to look great, kick butt in life, and feel their best and really be that example and that light to those around us. So be like, what are they doing? I want more of that, right?
Exactly. Like we talk about, the skin is the first thing we do, and if you can improve your health, the skin will look younger and better. It's pretty amazing, actually. So, Rachel, it was a pleasure again to have you. You're going to have to be back. So there's so much we can cover when it comes to skin and health.
Yeah,
thank
I
you
know.
for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great hanging out again.
Awesome. Have a good rest of the day, okay? Take care.